All right, cool. What's up, guys? Back with another episode of the LFR Podcast. I told you last week we were going to try to do more than one per week, so we are coming in hot with another one on Halloween. DJ here, you see him. He's dressed up as a sexy YouTuber, killing the game. I dressed up as close as I could to to Jesus from The Walking Dead. Obviously, I'm not much of a cosplayer, but it's the best effort I could get. We have a really exciting guest with us today. Quick couple plugs first, DJ, if you want to throw out some Twitters, throw out some plugs real quick.
So you got Brandon's Twitter over there. It's LFR Jesus. Mine's right here, Photobomb Champ. Niah, her Twitter is going to be in the description because I didn't take it down before we started, and I should have.
It's okay.
But,
it's cool.
Yes, hers will be in the description below the video, as well as the link to her YouTube channel. It's a highly successful and very entertaining YouTube channel that you should subscribe to at this time.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Brandon.
absolutely. Now, generally, it is me that introduced our guest. I think this time it would be fitting, though. I'll say right away. I'll say really quickly. When I first started watching the main LFR channel, the relationship that Van had and portrayed within the videos that we saw with Niah, it was something that gave me a vision into fatherhood that I didn't see within my own relationship with my daughters. So it struck me really, really closely for me. And this is something that we'll talk about a little bit more going forward. But DJ, if you want to go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Yes, our guest today, and I just want to say that we've been planning this for weeks and weeks and weeks without her knowledge. She didn't know we were planning this YouTube. She's a very busy YouTuber, so we didn't want to break. She only had like 10 subscribers when we first thought, let's get her on the podcast. But now she's, only 3 days later, she has 2,000 some odd subscribers on YouTube. So this is our friend LFR Niah right here. Okay.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Welcome.
You guys, I feel so welcome. Y'all are so dope. Wow.
We even didn't even coordinate. We wore matching shirts. Okay. I also want to
they didn't have any LFR apparel from Walking Dead.
They didn't.
No.
I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's listening in our Patreon right now in our Discord. We got Craig, J Bird, and LFR Sharkbait, the artist formerly known as Mako, hanging out right now listening to this live.
Shout out LFR Sharkbait.
Yeah.
When I woke up this morning and I saw that, I was like, wait, hold on, who's the new member of the family and who I haven't not met them yet?
Right.
Yeah, look out for LFR Sharkbait. He's going to do some cool things. Also, I know we plugged a couple channels. Check out the main LFR channel. Join the Patreon. Join the Discord. Check out LFR JoJo's channel. Also, Wild Boy. Like I said before, he does a really cool vlog style, just himself and the camera doing his own experiences. I think that's awesome.
Also, this stream is not sponsored by Sparkling Ice, but it could be.
Yeah.
So if you're an executive, at
Monster either.
At the Sparkling Ice Company, call us.
Yes, speak it into existence.
Monster, my middle name is Kyle, so I mean,
you're always hopped up on Monster. Yeah,
we're already halfway there. So.
all right. Let's pretend we're civilized podcasters.
Yeah. We're normal people. So yeah, we'll get into that. So. The idea of this podcast really hasn't been expounded upon in a big way. Basically, we want this to become an environment where people can just be real people and experience a conversation that we may not typically experience on the internet, whether it be social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube comments. There's so many of those conversations that are cut out and so much of the nuance that is cut out that I think a lot of people miss that genuine connection. So we spoke about, when I first started watching the LFR channel, I stumbled upon reactions all at once based off of Falling in Reverse. And that was right at the beginning into the pandemic. And I think it'd be cool for us to kind of talk about, what we expected the pandemic to be to what it has turned out to be. And then how that actually comes from, from our own experience. For me, really quickly, from the beginning of this, pandemic to now, it's almost equivalent to the last 10 years of my life. Just within that, short amount of time, there's been that many changes, that many struggles, that many victories, that many, it feels like 2020 has been a movie that's been on fast forward, and none of us can keep up at all. So let's get into that. Niah, I want to hear from you a little bit
about like the changes that have happened like throughout the pandemic, what I thought or expected it would be.
Yeah, wherever you want to start with it, because this is
Okay.
something that all of our experiences are going to be different. Whether it's the start of it, whatever is going to be the best part of it. It could be last week. It could be, it's crazy. It's been crazy.
It's been insane. Like looking at all of the social issues that's been happening or like coming back up into the world, and I honestly did not expect for it to be what it actually was. Like I remember at the beginning of March, I was teaching in my classroom and they sent out an email saying next week we're going to be out of school for a week and a half because of the pandemic. And me and my co-teacher, we were talking about it, and we were just like, oh, this is a joke. Like we laughed about it. And then we never went back to school again.
Right.
So like going into virtual learning and like, oh, I'm a teacher, if nobody knows. I teach kindergarten, but going into virtual learning, being the person that I was at the beginning of the year, who was like, I feel like I was very, very shy, very in my own world, my own bubble. And then I started making videos with my dad because I love my dad. I'm not a huge social media person, so you guys probably won't see me there. A lot of my friends who see that I have a YouTube channel now are just like, you? Because I'm super introverted, and I don't know. I'm not like really on social media like that, but I just started doing videos with my dad because I love spending time with my dad, and that spiraling into like where we are right now is insane to me.
Do you think the amount of time you spend on social media has anything to do with the type of communicator that you are? Because I spend a lot of time maybe scrolling on things, but to actual engagements or conversations, almost never on social media.
Yeah. I agree. Like I don't communicate often at all on social media, just like you. Sometimes I would like scroll through Twitter, but I feel like even that part was just draining. I could think about times where I was feeling good about myself. I woke up in the morning and I'm just like, oh, life is great. And I log into Twitter, like 1 million people died here. And like, it's just so many terrible things that are happening. And I know that people die every day and it's terrible. But I know the feeling of when I log in and then when I log out. And it is completely different on different sides of the spectrum. So no, I think like my communication, I mostly communicate with like my peers in real life. But like we don't really do that often anymore, considering, social media and how deep we've delved into that. But
how is it balancing that? Because you seem to have, like we're probably similar in the ways that we have a good grasp of what we're going to engage with, right? Like if I'm walking around at work or in the mall or wherever, and I hear a conversation that I know I'm not going to be engaged in that, or hey, I have something I could, give to this conversation. When it comes to social media, how is it balancing your new adventures with a YouTube channel without really being accessible or without really being on social media for the most part?
That's a good question. I think it's interesting. I feel like interesting is the best word to use. LFR Family, all of this has been a new intro for me into the social media world. Originally, it was just me going on there and seeing very pointless conversations, seeing people who are faking about their life, seeing people who are posting things just to show, oh yeah, I'm having a good time. But like, are you really? You're probably not really having that great of a time. But then going into like the LFR family and seeing like having real conversations with people and being able to engage in a different light through social media has given me a new look into the parts that I'd actually want to engage in. So I guess it's just me blocking out the things that I don't really want much of, and then only letting in the things that I really like. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It's good that you already have that skill early on. There's a lot of people that start doing things online, and they don't know the boundaries of their own mind, and then they don't know even maybe the limitations. There's a big you have to be able to say, I don't know enough about this to contribute. And a lot of people don't know that line once they get into an environment where you can say whatever you want to whoever you want, and it will reach as many people as you want it to reach. And it's a weird. Now I know DJ has a little bit different of an experience. He does some Twitter stuff. This might be a good opportunity for the Photobomb Champ story.
maybe. Nah, I don't know. No, I definitely am a social media person. I'm on Twitter too much, and that started out with gaming though. Like that's how I connected with people that I play games with. So that's really where most of I think I've got like 3,100 followers on Twitter, and they're mostly gaming people from various over the last like maybe 5 or 6 years that I've met. So
I got like 17.
It's pretty cool. I've met some really cool people on there, but it's I agree a lot with what Niah said though. It can like. They call it doom scrolling. Like you get on there and you just look at all the shit that's happened. Like, wow, that's terrible. Oh wow, that person died. Oh wow, this person's cussing at this person for saying this. Oh, this person got shot. Oh, this it's just you can really screw up your day reading some of the news on there. So I try to when I go on there, like I'll see the trends and stuff, but I'll try to like stick to just I'm the kind of person that just likes to compliment my friends. I'm the kind of person that just wants to like send support messages to people that I see on my feed that are having a rough time. I post pictures.
Can you follow me on Twitter and like add me on Facebook? Because I'll post like a selfie of myself on Facebook, and I'll have two dude friends that are like, gay, and then I'll have one actual gay guy that I went to high school with. His name is also Brandon, and he'll be like, killing it. You look great, and I'm like, hell yeah, thanks, man.
I'm pretty sure I do follow you. I think I do follow you.
Shout out to Brandon. I'm not going to say your last name, but
yeah, I think I do. So funny. I think this is a rare moment where my phone isn't with me, but I'm pretty sure I do follow you on there. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, be nice to me more publicly.
Yeah. No, but that's what I just try to spread some sort of. I mean, I know it's cliche for people to say like spread positivity, but I really believe that's a thing.
I love that. We need more people like that.
Yeah, you just gotta do that. And
we touched about that a little bit on the last podcast with generosity with Jeremiah, and that was one of the things that I felt I was missing. Like I've been one of the biggest things that I've changed is being generous with my time, and I may not have the money that Jeremiah has to throw at things that I believe in, and I wish that I could, but I do have time, and I do have insights, and I do have just what DJ was saying, like let's be positive. And DJ DJ changed the Discord name to LFR Niah Fan Club.
Oh yeah,
that's how supportive.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna pull that on the screen here. Now it's being recorded. The LFR Niah Fan Club. Funny. All right, cool.
Yep. That is hilarious. I love it.
And you know what's funny? Shout out to Van. He didn't even notice till we told him yesterday.
Yeah. Talk about somebody who balances being disconnected and connected at social media at the right times. He'll stir the pot, but he does it for a specific amount of time. For a specific amount of time and on specific things. He does well with that.
Yeah. My dad is something, and I feel like I'm happy that I get a lot of like the really awesome traits that he has where it comes to like balance and intentionality. Like he knows what he's doing and he thinks before he acts. So every single thing that he does has an exact purpose, and then he'll dip out for his own sanity. And that's something that I've gained throughout the years.
So here's a question. Here's a question I have that we didn't plan questions out for this because this was really kind of a spur of the moment thing. We didn't expect you to say yes, but one of the questions
we wrote a note. We wrote a note to Van like, can she do it? Check yes or no.
Yeah. One of the questions I have is like when your dad started doing like reactions and stuff. Like, what was your thought? Was it like, wow, this is cool? This is cool, or were you like, Dad, what the hell? Like, why are you doing this? Like, were you like into it, or were you just kind of like
the 90s father with the camcorder on his shoulder?
Were you apprehensive at first? Did you think, oh, this ain't gonna go well? What's he doing? Like, be honest.
It was so on brand. Like, that's what I thought when my dad was doing this. Because honestly, before my dad was doing the whole YouTube thing, my dad was Facebook famous. And I feel like he didn't even know it. All he did was like write his thoughts and everything like that. And then he just went on about his day. And so he was always like on social media. So him going into like YouTube and reacting to music, my dad loves music and he loves talking about music. He loves singing. Like, all of his life, like for as long as I can remember, my dad was into doing something musically. So music mixed with like social media is something that he was always doing for as long as I could remember. It seemed like the next step in what was happening.
Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah. He definitely seems like a natural with I know he does like TikToks and stuff too. My man's all if I ever when I check Instagram, I'm like, man, I'm missing so much content that this man puts out. I don't really use Instagram that much, but like
I admire his ability to get into not necessarily character, because he doesn't play something that he's not, but he gets into this zone. Like, he's got this ability that, like, he'll sing a little bit to himself, he'll do a little bit of a dance, I admire his process and getting into the right mind space to do what he's doing. I think that's something I haven't done yet either. It takes substances for me to do that.
But like, let's shift our focus back to our favorite YouTuber, Niah. I'm just playing.
Well, I will say, just to tie it back with Van and him starting the channel and what you thought, that relationship between the two of you, that specific thing of the intentionality that you share with your father, and the way that you can separate certain things and have your opinions and know where you stand. That was one of the first times I saw somebody that looked, drastically different than me, in a lifestyle that's completely different than mine. I saw an example of a father having an impression on his daughter, and those qualities showing through that personality. And that's something that is very important to me, given that my children don't live with me full time. I'm a separated family, and it gave me hope that, like, when I see my children every other weekend, maybe if I do this right, I'll still see myself when I see them, and that's one of the things that I admire. And I'm sure a lot of people admire about the way that you guys have handled it, even with JoJo, the way that his relationship is with JoJo. It's one of those very strong fatherly relationships that I think I told him before, that word meant something completely different to him when he was a child. And now it's something that most people don't really experience. You don't get that fatherhood, even though I would love to be the best father in the world, I don't have the time, with my children as it requires. But this channel gave me that envisionment of saying, like, if that's even a word, of saying, maybe I can impression my kids. Maybe I can instill ideas and positive things and things that I'll see myself in the things that I believe in, and why I've worked so hard to try to do as much as I can for them.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's another reason why, like, I love this so much, because just getting on, like, to me, I was just like recording a video, listening to music, and like being with my dad, hanging out and saying my thoughts. But being able to like have that type of connection with you, and not even knowing you at the time, or like you with my dad, or you thinking about all of this stuff, that makes me feel so good, because it's just like, wow. I mean, I don't know. It's so crazy to me, everything. But I really do appreciate you sharing that.
I definitely have a different relationship with the LFR family than I do people in my immediate life. It's definitely a more intimate kind of thing with us. We take the time to get to know each other. We take the time to, like, how many people do you talk to at work that you sit down for 30 minutes to an hour and a half, 2 to 3 days a week, and just listen to their favorite songs? You know what I mean? Like, we do that regularly in our Discord. We'll sit there for a couple hours and everyone will just request their own songs. You learn so much about people's hearts and people's souls when you listen to the music that they listen to, when you see the comedy that they like. So this environment gave me a really refreshing view on social discourse. Like, I don't have to go to work and talk to the same how's the weather bullshit, every day. Like, I don't have to do that. I can engage in a much more fun environment.
Yeah, the conversations seem like they're more meaningful. They're not filler. And I hate the filler conversation. Like, honestly, at this point, we don't even have to talk. You could just say hi and walk away. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
I think it has more to do with like the sensitivity of the world nowadays. It's just like, oh, he didn't ask me how my day was. Like, nobody really cared because I don't really know you. But or he didn't ask me what I was eating for lunch today. Like, stuff like that. But meaningful conversations that actually lead to something more, not me just asking to be polite, but me asking because I genuinely care.
You ever see somebody ask somebody, "Hey, how you doing?" and then the person actually responds with how they're doing instead of just like, "I'm good," and people just look like,
right?
What? Because the phrase is so disingenuous at this point. Like,
who has what stand-up comedian has a bit about that?
I'm not sure.
Bald head. He's got a podcast. Him and his wife. He speaks very fluent Spanish, but he looks super white. Tom Segura.
Oh, okay.
Tom Segura has a bit about that. He's walking into a bank and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And the doorman like opened up about his life, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? Like, I'm just trying to withdraw some cash. Like, I was just saying hello." Like,
yeah, that's how it is, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, he had a whole bit about that. Now, Niah, what do you think? What do you think is? You're a teacher, and you touched on online schooling. How much of this conversation is going to be missing in the development of our kids? Like, I remember vivid conversations when I was in school. I remember vivid experiences in the classroom where I heard a monologue from the teacher, or we did this or that physical, like, is this going to be something? I'm sure we don't know at this point, but I'm speculating on, I'm concerned, how much are we going to miss out, or are kids going to miss out on that social structure? How much are they going to miss out on what it's like to engage with real people when their schooling has been changed to this? And are we going to get snow days still? Do those exist now that Zoom? Like,
we better not.
Nope.
We better not, because, like, okay, I teach kindergarten, so it's so weird because half of my students started off in pre-K in a school, socializing with students, learning how to play, learning how to speak to kids. Half of my kids, this is their first year in school ever. And so imagine like logging in, you have no clue what school is, period. And then you're looking at somebody on the screen. My students only know me and my co-teacher. Like, they hardly know any of their other classmates' names. And we can sit right there and try to force these conversations and say, "Oh, do you know this person? Do you know this person? This is this person's name." We can do that all we want, but at the end of the day, they're going to gain what they're going to gain. And from this point, 5, 6, I don't even know, like 11 weeks, I don't know. I'm not good with math. I'm not sure how long we've been in school, since like August. They still don't really know each other's names. So I think the whole socializing aspect, they're missing out on in a huge way. We're only on, like, in class online for about a couple hours out of the day. That compared to being in school 8 hours a day is all of this learning that they're not getting. They're getting the learning from us when they're online, but it takes much more them actually doing the work. Now they're 5 and 6, so that also takes like parents having to be teachers and doing things that are not in their job description, pushing their kids to do this work that we need them to do. And if their kids aren't doing that work, then they're not retaining what we're teaching. So I think this is all just like a huge summer packet. You get it. I need to complete this. Check, check, check. And you just throw it in the corner of your room and you turn it in at the first day of school. You don't really know what it is. It's all, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it.
You also have the struggle of, working class parents, like how much time out, extracurricular activities. You don't think about that when you're thinking of online schooling. When I went to school, it wasn't me just going to school and then going home. There was after school clubs, there was sports, there was all of these things that were extracurricular that contributed to me as an adolescent. It may not be much of my day to day now as an adult, but it helped me understand where I was going, what I was doing, in a very real way. And a lot of times parents nowadays, they don't have, especially in the working class, they don't have the time to produce those extracurricular experiences that are going to be productive for their kids. let alone be the one that's there to help them, get through their school.
Not at all.
I'm hoping that there's going to be something that is offered. I don't know if it would have to be something through, the government, or if it would be something more local, or more of a community-driven thing. But there's daycares have always been a thing for working-class parents. There has to be something that's more than a daycare going forward. If this is the way that the standard is going to be, there has to be accessible experience to these kids, or else what are they other than computing?
Yeah, it definitely has to be more. And my heart goes out to all of the parents out there, the ones who have time and the ones who don't, because this is hard. It's so difficult, and we're sitting right here, and sometimes I feel bad reaching out to parents and saying, oh, well, can you do this for your student? Because this is my job, but like I can only do but so much through virtual learning. And I know like it's difficult being a parent and having to be a teacher, and then also knowing that like a lot of our kids, they enjoy going to school just so they can see their friends, just so they can hang out and do the thing that they did after school, like going to these clubs and these activities and stuff. They don't have that anymore. And
that's your first real experience of loneliness and heartbreak, is when you get to school and your best friend isn't there and you don't know why. It's like, wait a second. Wait,
yeah.
Well, you're not here? You're not here? What am I supposed to do? That was my first experience with heartbreak and being lonely. It's like, my best friend's not here and I don't know why. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah, that's real life.
Clarissa didn't explain any of this.
It is a real life, and they do not understand it. Every single day they ask me, when are we going back to school? When can I see you in real life? Do you always teach from your house? Are you a robot? Like, they don't know what is happening right now. And it's sad.
Yeah. Well, we got about a minute left here on this here Zoom call, guys. So we might as well just go ahead and wrap this one up, take a break real quick.
We've got an exciting message from DJ coming to you guys. Check it out.
There's going to be an ad break here just in a second. If you're watching the podcast live, obviously there's not going to be one, but we'll be back in just a moment. And if you want to upgrade our Zoom account, Zoom for free, just let us know. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's DJ. I'm here to bring you another important ad, another important message. Now, I know you might be thinking I'm here to promote something extremely important, like say a sponsor like Sparkling Ice, the drink of champions. But unfortunately, they don't sponsor the podcast. But I am here nonetheless to talk to you about something extremely important. I need everybody right now to look in the description of the podcast and subscribe to LFR JoJo. LFR JoJo is doing big things. If you are interested in rock music, if you're interested in rap music, if you're interested in music in general, you should really look at his channel. He's got a video for you. Fool. He calls you a fool. I don't know what that means, but, I'm 30, so I'm not quite sure what fool means, but I say it all the time now. I say fool. There's a lot of different lingo I've learned from LFR JoJo. So if you see there, he's got almost 6,000 subscribers. I need you guys to go over there, hit that subscribe button, make them, let them know you came from the LFR podcast. And when I tell you that, no cap. Hey, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the LFR podcast. This is our 4th episode. We're here with Brandon, LFR Jesus, and our guest, LFR Niah. We're just talking about, we just finished up talking about some struggles this year with the pandemic and with having to do virtual learning. If you were sleeping during the first half of the podcast, Niah is a school teacher for kindergartners and pre-K, and she's now teaching them online. Some of them think she's a robot, and she's however not a robot. So let's get back to it. I don't know if we want to talk about that subject or if we want to talk about something else.
Well, we can get right into kind of our own experiences and the learning, the virtual learning we've done as adults. I know just based off of the LFR Family channel, all of the Patreons, shout out to everybody who's watching. All of us have changed and learned so much just within this community, let alone everything else. And I think a cool place to go with that conversation would be music, because music has really brought a lot of us together. Niah, I want to know the real skinny, right? The real skinny. Mm-hmm. What is it that really grabs your attention when it comes to music? What music is it that you really, you react to music, but what's the music that you really love?
Okay, so I think this is a weird answer that I'm about to give, or whatever. Growing up, I've always listened to like R&B music, gospel, all of that stuff. And I think it was the music that is very stereotypical of a Black person that I'm listening to. So that was my upbringing. And then what grabbed me with that, I guess, I like soul. I like sound and something catchy. I like something that just sounds good and makes me feel good about myself and about life. Something that can also resonate into where I am right now in my life. So I do have playlists based off of like the time of the year. And so I'll have summer 2020 and I'll think back, be like, yeah, that kind of sucked. So I'm not going to listen to that playlist right now, but these songs connected to where I was in that spot. Now with going into like reactions, I love that this is a thing that started happening because my dad was able to introduce me to all of these songs, or let me say the people in the comment section of LFR Family was able to introduce me to all of these songs. And I am so upset that I'm just getting introduced to like rock music because this is exactly what I was loving growing up, but in a different way. Like all of the sound, the instruments, all of that stuff is stuff that I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is great, but something that I never even thought to listen to.
Have you found yourself stumbling across songs that you're adding into those same playlists that you would have for, like things that would resonate with yourself in a specific way? Are you finding songs that you like? I just went into hip hop in the last 2 to 3 years. I've been in rock and roll my whole life, and I'm finding songs within hip hop that do exactly the same thing for me that the rock songs that I've loved for years have. Have you been finding that same thing going from, one genre to the next?
I've been trying to. I've been trying to, y'all, I'm really trying to like get into this as much as I'm into like the stuff that I'm used to. The stuff I'm not used to. So everything is just like, oh my gosh, did you guys hear that? But I feel like it's in a different way than the music that I like connected to. So it's mainly just changing in my brain. What exactly was that connection that's making me like hold on to this stuff or put it in my playlist? I also think it's probably because I don't really know what they're saying in the music. So a lot of the music that I'm listening to on my channels, like a lot of the rock and roll music and stuff, if it's not a live concert, or if it's not a live concert, I can hear all of the words that they're saying, but sometimes it could get like kind of muffled. Like if I'm listening to Ginger and like the growl, I don't know what Tatiana is saying, but I'm just like, oh, this sounds good.
It's crazy how much you can like, because I'm a metalhead myself, but I usually listen to like the bands I listen to. At least some part of the song has clean vocals, like it's not all screaming. There's some that are harder than others, but when I first started listening to stuff like that, because I guess I kind of started with more like, not to say that they're not a hard rock band, but like Linkin Park, you could understand what they were saying. Like that was probably my first like foray into rock music at the time. But you could always understand what they were saying. There was never any like even when it was a scream, it was something you could hear just fine. But as I got into more harsher vocals, it was amazing to me how much I could actually hear it better if I just went and looked up the lyrics real quick.
Yeah,
because the second your mind knows what's happening, the next time you hear it, it's like, okay, I hear him saying that now, and it makes a lot more sense. And like, I always hear people say stuff like, well, why would you listen to that? Like, why would you listen to somebody screaming? It's like, but there's a lot of skill involved in that. Yeah. There's a lot of emotion involved in that. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I don't want to hear Howard Jones from Killswitch Engage sing me a lullaby, man. I want him to like yell at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just.
And a lot of that artistically is intentional, right? Like when you have a band that is screaming, once you look up their lyrics, those lyrics are going to have a message.
They're emotional, they
make sense. Yeah. It makes sense that it would be screaming it. If you were in your own room by yourself, going through the shit, whatever it is. If you're in your own house all alone, you're in the woods and another tree can't hear you when you fall, whatever the hell, how would you sound in that moment? And if a lot of times that's what metal music is. So that's a lot of people miss that. But there's a whole culture. I was going to touch on that, DJ, of us sitting on our computers when we were 16, looking up the lyrics and also having it played on our iPod at the same time.
I love the.
I spent
hours. You know what I love? I'm just going. This might not be very well done for the podcast, but I was when you listen on. I know a lot of other services do it too, but Apple Music has the lyrics like going with it.
Yes, I love that.
But like, and I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to get like a copyright claim on our daggone podcast. But like, if the last thing I listened to was Breaking Benjamin because I was feeling emo today, and but you can like just pull up
Benjamin emo.
Yeah, they're they're a little bit they're like
they wore eyeshadow sometimes.
Yeah, they're like upset. They're more. It's more. They're not emo. They're more upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. They got the lyrics actually flow like as it's happening. The lyric pops up. Like I like that. Yeah. And I probably shouldn't use that as much as I do while I'm driving.
I enjoy I'm enjoying all of the songs that everybody's recommending to me. And I think like the music that I've been listening to has not been going into any of my like playlists that I've had before. All of this music goes into its own playlist. I don't think that I'm educated enough to like separate the two. I'm listening to Queen, I'm listening to Ginger. All of it is giving me that same wow feeling like, oh my gosh, did you hear this? But I feel like the more that I listen to it, the more that I like continue to gain, okay, well, this is what this is. I'm still like amazed by it. So I just have like an amazed playlist of things that I just listen to because I'm just like, I've never heard anything like this before.
I gotta send you a song or two after this podcast.
Yeah, I listen. There's so many times throughout the day where I hear a song or I'm listening to something and I'm like, I wish I could just tell Niah to react to this. I wish Niah would love this song. And I do the same thing with the band. I do the same thing with JoJo. And every time it's just like, shut up, Brandon. You let them figure it out. They'll get there. They'll do their thing. But every day, like I probably text your dad 6 or 7 times a week. It's like, hey, you should check this song out. Maybe not for a reaction, but listen to it. I think you like it. Like
it's so crazy, but I love that people are like recommending songs. You guys don't know. I want to push out so many more reaction videos, like if I had the time, because there are so many songs. Like every week I'm just like, I'm gonna do this one. I will come out with 50 reactions in a week because it's so many things that I'm trying to rush into. And yeah, it's
well, you're doing it. You're doing it a very exciting time too, because the pandemic, like as everything else is involved and affected by it, that there was that before when you were making an album, when you were writing music, there was the presence of a studio, there was a presence of your label management team and all of this kind of stuff, and location was kind of a restriction. Like what artist is going to be able to come from the UK out of nowhere to record with somebody from LA. Like all of those kinds of things hindered a lot of the creative process. Now that we have the pandemic going on, we have something like a Zoom call. That distance limitation no longer exists. So you're seeing more artists that are doing collaboration, whether it's just singles, whether it's entire albums, anywhere from hip hop to rock and roll. If you look at the newest Big Sean album, Detroit 2, that has more features than I've ever seen on an album. And it's something that has been recorded over a time before and during, the pandemic and lockdown. Same thing with a lot of MGK stuff. And you're seeing these artists do what they would normally be. You see a very stark difference between what the industry produced music is from 5 years ago and what these really personal experiences are and really personal songs, where they're coming out as singles from these artists that are like, wow, this is so much different than I've ever heard from this artist, but it's so much more real. It sounds so much more correct for this person to do this. So you're doing it at an exciting time. You're seeing a lot of new, different, like the cool thing is you're checking out old stuff, right? You're going to get to the point where you're going to get to the newer stuff and you'll be like, wow, I see how this inspired this. And I see how this was different than this. And now we're in a time where this and this being different makes sense for it to come together over here. Music has changed so much just within this lockdown because people have the access to each other to collaborate. I wish everything else socially would work that way too. Like, hey guys, look at what we're doing on a Zoom call. You can make friends and have real connections with people.
Yeah, hopefully that'll roll over into different parts of life. But yeah, you make some really great points. Really great points. As soon as you said personal, the first person that popped into my head is MGK, because I feel like I wouldn't be right if I didn't bring MGK up once throughout this entire podcast. And he is what really got me on my dad's channel.
Well,
listening
MGK,
to this other stuff is cool.
MGK is somebody who's from Cleveland, and if the LFR brand grows big enough, it's possible that we could get him on a podcast at some point. I'll speak it into the existence, because I'm 20 minutes from Cleveland. He just opened up a coffee shop.
Sponsor of Sparkling Ice.
Yep. Yep. Colson, Mr. MGK, if you see this, we'd love to have you on with LFR Niah. She's become your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that kind of style of personal, like, just we'll use MGK for an example. From his quarantine stuff, you had Smoke and Drive all the way to In These Walls and his cover of the Rihanna song. There were so many different things that he had expressed, and there were so many different artists that also did that same thing. And now you're seeing that come out in their albums. One of my favorite bands, Bring Me the Horizon, they just came out with a new EP. And there's such a difference from the very beginning of the album, where it's very screaming, it's very heavy, it's very fast. And then it gets to the end of the EP, the end of the album, where it ends with Amy Lee from Evanescence, and it's a very slow and intimate kind of song. So you're seeing this progression of, we don't have to put ourselves in this box, and be out in front of people and do this same thing all the time. Let's experience each other. And I'm excited about that in music. And I think that the reason why your channel, JoJo's channel, and your dad's channel grow the way that they have been growing is because you guys do that right. You guys experience things genuinely. And I want to know how it is that you guys are able to disconnect from everything you've known prior to and sit down and say, I'm here present. This is what I'm going to experience now. I don't think a lot of people have that skill.
Yeah, you're right. You are very right. I think my dad has always stressed for us to be very open-minded. My mom and my dad. Actually, let me talk on my mom. My mom specifically. She has always stressed for us to be open-minded when it comes to everything. And my dad was very much like that when it came to music. So it's like, yes, we did grow up listening to this, but it would be cool if we just took the time to sit down and hear this. Everybody's saying that it's dope. Why not? And then we listen. It's just like, oh my gosh, where has this been all of my life? And so going in without any negative expectations or whatever, anything that I thought was going to happen or I think is going to happen, going in without all of that and just taking the art for like what it is
yeah,
what we've been doing.
You can appreciate art without being like a huge fan of it. Like, you can sit there and be like, oh wow, this was really well done. You don't have to go back. It doesn't mean you're gonna put it on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've all listened to NSYNC before, right?
And you know what? Justin Timberlake was an incredible talent. But yeah, I mean,
we sure have.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with that. Like, there'll be sometimes I'll be hanging out in the radio channel on the Discord, and somebody will get to playing something that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, say like somebody wanted to play. Say we're having a rap hour. I'm not really into hip hop that much, but I can at least appreciate, like, oh well, that took a lot of skill, that took a lot of talent to do that. Oh, that beat's nice. You don't have to love something. That's the key to, I think, to just being open-minded, is being not shutting down and being like, nah, I ain't listening to that crap. Like, unless it's country music. And I'm just playing.
You said that? It's crazy. I don't. Okay, everybody who's watching the podcast,
I don't hate it.
You would have seen my face. I went to this place where I was like, except for country, and my face said it. I know it did because I felt it. It's like, don't say that, Brandon. And then you said it. So I'm out of it. I got out of it. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
my dislike for country is just that my family overplays it. So
it's such a hypocritical thing. Both of you and I both have that same thing. Like, you should be open-minded, give everything a chance. but then somebody's like, all right, check out this Travis Trent, and I'm like, no.
I haven't Listen, I haven't lost any dogs. I haven't lost any wives. I don't need 2 beers for each hand. Like, I'm good.
No, yeah, I don't have a tractor even.
That is a genre that I have not been into yet. I feel like I can count the number of country songs that I've heard on one hand. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. But because you said that, I feel like I may post my first country reaction this week.
Some white people will like it.
I mean, honestly, listen. You can't go wrong with Garth Brooks. He's not bad.
Yeah, there's icons from every genre, and it would be disingenuous to say that there's not some country artists that have not affected and shaped, some sort of, music industry or music experience, or even changed people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, for me, as the young ones say, that's not it. Like,
this ain't it. This ain't it, Chief.
This ain't it. Yeah. But yeah, music has been something that I think, especially within the pandemic, with TikTok being so big, there's a lot of, we were talking about it in one of the calls, there's so many songs that are viral famous that people only know 6 seconds of it. And when they find out this is an actual song by an actual artist that could be making money off of this song, they're like, what? So I think it's cool, and I think we need to understand the opportunity we have to connect in new ways. Like, if we can't have a face-to-face physical conversation where we do that European kiss on the side of the face, like, is that dead in that culture now? Is that?
I hope.
You know what I mean? Like if we But I digress. If we can't connect in that way anymore, what ways can we connect? And I think that's a conversation that people need to really start having. I think, not just, podcasts, not just news, productions, but families, like, if I can't go see my cousins, or if I can't go to the family reunion that's 60 people or 100 people, or, multiple generations where somebody may be at risk, if we can't do those things, what things can we do now? What are the things that we can do to connect and really hold the people you care about close in a real way? And I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer to that. I think music would probably be the easiest.
So here's the thing,
but I don't know.
With me, like, my lifestyle hasn't really changed a whole ton since this pandemic started. I was last year, up until December of 2019, I was working overnights for 3 years, so I didn't really go out much. Like, most of my time was spent either at work or sleeping, or if I had some free time, I'm more of an indoor person anyway. Like, I wasn't going out to the park or nothing. I like playing video games. So this whole pandemic thing, the only thing it's really changed for me is, like, when I have to go out in public, like to the store or something, I gotta, protect myself and whatnot. But other than that, like, I feel the stress that everybody has with all, like, the virtual learning and stuff. My sister and her husband are teachers, so I've heard some horror stories, but I'm not a parent, so it's like, and the only child in my life is my niece, and she's 1, so it's not like she's not on the computer trying to, struggling to get connected or whatnot. So it's really, aside from just what I've been hearing on the internet, what I've been hearing from friends and stuff like that. Like, I've had some friends, like, I had one of the people that I play games with, her father passed away from COVID, I've heard a couple things like that are really sad. I'm not out here trying to say it's a hoax, because it isn't, and if you think it is, press that unsubscribe button. But I'm just playing. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But it just really like, me personally, it hasn't affected. I was already, like, I didn't, the job that I had overnights, I didn't have after December, so I'm thankful for that. Personal shout out to myself. I've lost 80 pounds since December anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So this shirt's a little loose.
And you don't even do drugs. Shout out to you.
I don't do drugs. This is my drug right here. Sparkling Ice. Please sponsor the podcast. That's right. Somebody hooked me up with the CEO of the Sparkling Ice brand. I'll have a chat with
They've got to
guys.
outdo Ocean Spray. Listen, this is be your opportunity. Go outside, get on a scooter instead of a skateboard, and drink you some sparkling ice, listening to something like Dolly Parton or something.
But here's the thing, like they
Dolly
sponsor Kevin Durant, so I'm really low on that totem pole probably. Like Kevin Durant, LFR podcast, like
right.
We're not quite there yet.
We'll take a 0.5% of whatever he's got.
Let's get Kevin Durant on the podcast. We'll ask him about burner Twitter accounts.
Right, there we go. Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right. Well, enough about sparkling ice, unless they want to sponsor us.
Well, we'll have some. I think we're going to have some unique opportunities because, as this conversation has been based around, is just having that connection. I'm thinking that the small taste of creative freedom that these artists and, even outside of music, AOC live streamed herself playing Among Us on Twitch, right?
With my friend Dr. Lupo.
Yeah, like you have these people that are entertainers, that are politicians, that are, whatever they are, and they're finding these new ways to connect with people that there's never been before, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a very exciting thing that we need to pay attention to. And I don't know. I wish that we have given a good enough vision into what real conversation can look like, because I'm hoping that this podcast gets to the point where it inspires other people, or even within this podcast alone, to come and hang out, right? Like Tom McDonald, we did a Tom McDonald week. We did an NF week on the channel. Like, come chill with us. Tell us, how are you as a person? How has this, not an interview, like tell us about your #1 single. What was it like when you beefed with Cardi B? Like, forget all of those conversations. Let's be a real person. Yeah, I think that's something that I hope this podcast inspires a lot of people to do.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it does. And you're right. Like, we do need more people who are held so high to come down a little bit to where I guess we say we are, and to be real people, like without the money, without the followers or subscribers, all of that stuff. Who are you? Like, what do you do on a day where you have absolutely nothing to do?
It is one of the highlights, I think, of our Discord and Patreon. I mean, I'm not saying that your pops is high and mighty with a bunch of money, but he is the face of the LFR family, and people join the Discord to interact with him. So whenever there's an opportunity to interact with him, I think it's really a good thing that he does that, because people feel like, okay, now I've got a connection with the person that I'm a fan of.
Correct.
And that's how you build trust and long time support.
Not only is that how you build trust, but think about how it affects the personality, or even just the mental stability of the artists themselves. Like, how many times are we going to be there for Van or for Niah when they need somebody, right? Like, as the LFR family, as the community, how many times are they going to be able to open up their Discord and say, nothing's really bad, but I'm just not feeling it today. I need to get inspired or excited or motivated. And then we're there, right? I think that that's going to become pretty appealing to a lot of artists. We've lost a lot of artists to, them taking their own lives. We've lost a lot of artists to drug abuse. We've lost a lot of artists to alcoholism, and not even just music artists, but public figures, people that we've looked up to, people that we've idolized, people that we've shaped our beliefs and our opinions off of. And I think they have been missing that connection even more so than what we have long before the pandemic, because they had to close so much of their life off. And I think this brings in a unique opportunity. Just like I said, speaking it out into existence. If you fit that description as somebody who's higher up on the ladder, or a public figure, whether it's in your community or, social media or cinema, and you just want to remember what it's like to talk about real things with a real person, please reach out to us, and we'd love to do that, regardless of what your opinions are, regardless of what your beliefs are. We want to be able to connect with real people again, because computers aren't real people, and I think our youth is forgetting that.
Very much.
I think that's a good place for us to kind of close out a little bit, and kind of wrap up. Going forward, LFR Niah, you said you have some vlog stuff that you're doing as well as reactions. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So I have been vlogging a little bit. I've never I've never done this before. So if I do end up putting something out, don't be mean, y'all, or at least don't be too mean in my comment section. But
it'd be better than Wild Boys for sure. It'd be better than Wild
Boys. Wow. Man, he's one of our most loyal podcast viewers. You don't call his ass out like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
but it will be.
hopefully that's okay. But went on a little solo trip to come visit my friends for a couple of Halloween kickbacks. So you should see my costume from yesterday and the one for tonight. Other than that,
you should subscribe to LFR Niah if you want to find out more about
subscribe and
that.
check out all of the videos that are coming out soon. Thanks for the growth. Oh my gosh, it surprised me a lot.
And for anybody who wants to get in contact with you or support you, what's the most direct ways that they can support you or contact you?
You guys could email me at LFR Niah. Well, that was backwards. LFR Niah at Gmail. You can email me and get in the Cash App and PayPal. So all of that information should be in my descriptions under my videos. So you can check that out if you'd like to support.
Okay, cool. We'll have LFR Niah's channel linked in the description, obviously, and it will also be linked in every episode going forward. I hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with us. DJ, do you have anything to sign off with?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Zoom says we're running out of time, but that's fine. We don't need your time, Zoom.
See how good I'm getting at this? Where I'm figuring out.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like Brandon said, make sure you hit that subscribe button on LFR Niah. I was just looking on my phone because I wanted to see like how many subscribers you were at, and it's like 2.14 thousand now. So
insane.
Since we made that ad 2 days ago.
It's working.
I think that ad really did it. Yeah, everybody was on the fence. Look, my microphone's trying to get me out of focus here while I say this, but everybody was like, I don't know about this LFR Niah, and then we just hit them right in the face with some knowledge.
Yes.
They realized they enjoyed breathing. So
yeah, I fangirled. I'm gonna fangirl every time.
Yeah. No, we're not taking that credit, but
all right, guys.
Well,
hit me up on Twitter, LFR Jesus. Hit DJ up on Twitter. It's Photobomb Champ.
Indeed.
Niah, check out her channels. We will see you guys soon. We'll have a next episode. We've got Jaybird coming up. We've got LFR Sharkbait coming up, and probably another episode with Jeremiah in an actual office off of his steering wheel. We will catch you guys next time. Much love.